Hello and welcome to the in-news series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment we are going to talk about how the impacts of lockdown on hunger continue to persist. This topic is important from the perspective of prelims as well as GS mains papers. So let's begin with the topics of discussion step by step. First of all, we are going to talk about wine news. We will also talk about the effects of lockdown on hunger. We will talk about the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. We will talk about National Food Security Act, steps undertaken by the government to eradicate hunger. We will talk about the recently published Global Hunger Index. We will also talk about the challenges posed, the way forward, and in the midst of the segment, I am going to ask you few prelims-based questions for which if you know the answer, you can comment in the comment segment. So let's begin with wine news, because the effects of lockdown and the resultant economic crisis continue to disproportionately affect the poor and the informal sector workers. Now, lockdowns have been in practice around the globe right now, but The Economist has said India's lockdown is the stingiest of all. That's not a good news. Okay, so let's talk about the report. The Right to Food campaign, in partnership with civil society organization, has put a survey in practice across 11 states spanning 35,000 households from mid-September to mid-October. If we talk about the objective, simple: to assess the situation of hunger among vulnerable sections of the society and to give immediate local help in case of extreme need. The focus area was Dalit Adivasi household as well as daily wage workers, households with single women, aged and disabled populace, and so on. If we talk about the data provided, it's harrowing. 41% of the sample reported having a monthly income of less than rupees 3,000 pre-lockdown, as compared to only 2.4% more than 15,000. Also, 1/3 of them were daily wage workers. Now, most of these households not only start off poor, but they also live in very precarious conditions. Also, 27% said that they had no income in the month before the survey, compared to 43% with no income during the months of April and May. Now, the situation may have mitigated right now as compared to the initial months of lockdown. Out of those who didn't have any income, now in April, May, if we compare the data from April, May to right now, 87% continue to have no income. Also, 1 in 3 respondents reported to have skipped meals from sometimes to often. They have consumed lot less rice and wheat as compared to they have been consuming pre-lockdown. Now, almost half of them have said that they have reduced the consumption of rice and wheat, and 2/3 of them have said that they have reduced the consumption of pulses. Now, this may give rise to hidden hunger. Hidden hunger, that means different from conventional hunger. The quality of food is as such that they do not receive the proper minerals and vitamins which is needed for proper and healthy functioning of the body. Also, based on 2011 National Sample Survey, a report was published by the name of Food Policy. It showed that between 63 to 76% of the people from India could not afford nutritious diet. Also, based on Consumption Expenditure Survey from 2017-18, it showed that the consumption declined uniformly across the entire cross-section of rural India. Now, these particular reports show that the status of hunger was not in a good state before lockdown, but they have exacerbated. The state has exacerbated post-lockdown and continues to break down. Let's talk about Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, which was launched in March 2020. To mitigate the impacts of the COVID-19 induced lockdown, it was a package of 1.70 lakh crore rupees, and in that the food security was also a major point of focus, in which it said 80 crore of the poor will continue to receive 5 kg of rice and 1 kg of preferred pulses for the next 3 months. Also, increase in Manrega wages to rupees 202 from rupees 182 for 13.62 crore families. Also, 20.4 Jandhan women would get rupees 500 rupees every month for the next 3 months in their Jandhan account. 8.3 crore BPL families would get gas cylinders free of cost. Also, wage earners below rupees 15,000 per month in business having less than 100 workers would receive 24% of their monthly wages in their PF account for the next 3 months. The center had directed the states to use construction worker welfare fund to the registered workers, 3.4 crore registered workers, to give them wages. Now let's move on and talk about the National Food Security Act of 2013, which was launched or notified on 10th September 2013. The objective was to provide food and nutritional security at a highly subsidized rate for giving the people life with dignity. If we talk about coverage, 75% of the rural population and 50% of the urban population has been covered, and also eligibility says priority households should be covered under the targeted public distribution system according to the state government, and households covered under the existing Antyodaya Ann Yojana are also eligible under the NFSA Act. Also, if we talk about provisions, 5 kgs of food grain per person per month at rupees 3:2:1 per kg for rice, wheat and coarse grains. Also, the existing Antyodaya Ann Yojana will continue to receive 35 kgs of food grains per household. Also, meals and maternity benefit of not less than rupees 6,000 would be provided to pregnant women, lactating mothers during pregnancy and 6 months after the childbirth as well. Meals to children up to the age of 14 years and food security allowance to beneficiaries in case of non-supply of food grains. Setting up of grievance redressal mechanism in the states and at the district level as well. Next comes the steps which have been undertaken by the government to eliminate hunger in our country. Antyodaya Ann Yojana was launched in December 2020, and it involved the identification of 1 crore poorest of the poor among the BPL families. It was started as an interstate portability of ration card in the year 2019. Next comes One Nation, One Ration Card. Now you may have heard of this scheme. It allows the migrant labor as such. It allows migratory National Food Security Act beneficiaries to avail highly subsidized food grains from any place of choice and any fair price shops. Now there are 24 states and union territories which are integrated under this scheme, and this can be done by using their existing ration card with Aadhaar based authentication. With 24 states or union territories connected under the schemes, about 65 crore beneficiaries, which comprise of 80% of the total beneficiaries, are covered under NFSA. That's such a good news. The next scheme is Poshan Abhiyan. Poshan Abhiyan is Government of India's flagship program, which was launched on Women's Day in the month of March 2018, precisely 8th March 2018 from Jhunjhunu in Rajasthan. Now this particular scheme addresses the problem of malnutrition in mission mode. Next comes in line Integrated Child Development Scheme, which was launched on 2nd October 1975. Now this scheme specifically targets vulnerable groups such as children below the age of 6 years and women, and it is implemented by Ministry of Women and Child Development. It is basically a package which works in 6 sectors, namely supplementary nutrition, preschool non-formal education, nutrition and health education, immunization, health checkups and referral service. Next comes in line the Global Hunger Index. The Global Hunger Index of 2020 report has placed India at 94th position among the 107 countries. Now in the comment box, please tell me who publishes this report. And the second question is, what was India's rank in the year 2019, GHI 2019? And because India is placed at 94th position from 107 countries, it comes much below than Bangladesh, Pakistan and Nepal. This particular report is measured on 4 parameters. First, the proportion of undernourished in the population, the proportion of children under 5 who are suffering from wasting, that is less weight in proportion to their height. The proportion of children under 5 who are suffering from stunting, that means low height in proportion of their age. The mortality rate of children under 5. So these are the parameters on which a 100-point scale point is given. And if any country scores within the range of 20 to 34.9, it is considered to be grappling with acute hunger. Now countries with high income or low population are not considered under this report. Let's talk about the challenges. Challenges are multi-sectoral. First is the agriculture. The agriculture output from small and marginal land holdings are either stagnant or are declining because of reduced soil fertility, fragmented land holdings, or even fluctuating market prices. This is one of the reasons, and about approximately 50 million households depend on small and marginal land holdings. Secondly is income disparity. Relative income of a certain section of the society is constantly declining in comparison to other section of the society. Now this affects their capability of purchasing food grains, especially when the price of food grains is very high. Next comes lack of opportunity. Now lack of opportunity suggests that the kind of work a section of people have been doing are either less remunerative or not at all remunerative, or even there is not a lot of opportunity in the rural area. If we talk about the periodic labor force survey of 2017-18, now it put the unemployment rate in the rural households in the rural areas at a concerning rate of 6.1%, which was much higher, which was so high that it had to be compared with the unemployment rates of 1972 and 1973. Also, inaccessibility of food network. The public distribution system are either not accessible enough to a large population in need, or even if they are not working properly. Also, let's talk about the way forward. Because the problem is multi-sectoral, the way forward should also be multi-sectoral. First of all, diversifying crop patterns is a necessity. Now more crops have to be grown, especially with respect to the small and marginal farming practices, with the support from the union government. So a policy which keeps in mind the small and marginal land holdings should be formulated in order to help those approximately 50 million people dependent on those holdings. Accessibility of food network. Now the government may create provisions to supply food which is properly and healthy cooked to the vulnerable section of the society. A model of cheap canteens which has been successfully working in the state of West Bengal should be replicated in other states as well. Now this particular canteen provides food to the vulnerable sections of the society at a cheap rate of just rupees 15 to 20. That's such a good canteen. I mean, that if that is replicated with PDS system, that will be a huge help to the vulnerable and poor section of the society. Also, reform the existing scheme. Now, if we talk about rural area, Manrega is the lone job guaranteeing scheme by the government. It should be further strengthened. How? several organizations and individuals who are working under the scheme have suggested that the guaranteed work days be increased to 200 and the commensurate wages should be in proportion with the minimum agriculture wages of the state. Manrega should be strengthened, and it has already been weakened by non-payment of wages or low wages or even bureaucratization. So all these problems should be definitely approached. Streamlining of PDS. Access to food grains under the PDS need to be strengthened. How? By simplifying the technical processes and reducing the Aadhaar related problems. So all these problems are looming large, but they are not insurmountable. The government should formulate short-term as well as long-term policies to address them. As for now, I am concluding the piece for today. Tomorrow I am going to turn up with another segment. Thank you so much for watching.